What's up, guys? It's Adam from esportsheaven.com, and I'm here with Twitch's CrimsonBlur. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, enjoying Pound and in my old stomping grounds of MDVA, my old hometown.
How does it feel to be back, my man?
Feels great. Honestly, like my melee blood is coursing just because we have such good gameplay over here. Everyone's having a great time, so I'm having a good time.
Did you enter anything? Did you actually compete, or are you just here for commentary and kind of just hanging out?
So I didn't enter this time. I actually haven't been entering for a little bit now, but I'm commentating. Took a little bit of break from commentating. I didn't commentate Five Gods, but now I'm doing it again, and I'm about to do exhibitions with Homemade Waffles right after this.
You excited for that? You excited for those exhibitions?
Dude, Hugs v Chew, I am so excited for that. Obviously, when this airs, you guys will already know the result. But me, as someone who doesn't know the result, I think it could go either way, but someone's going to be mad, and that's what's important to me. I just want to see people get mad.
Okay, all right. Obviously, it's kind of weird for you because, you in Cali now, and that's where Hugs is from. But, the blood is Maryland and Virginia, and obviously that's where Chew is. So it's a bit of an ideological battle, I guess. Now, the other exhibition we got is AMSA versus AMSA.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that. Who do you think is going to take it?
That was tough. Yoshi versus Shiga sounds so hard for Shiga on paper, but then AMSA has beaten Mewtwo King in the past, so AMSA as in the Japanese AMSA has beaten Mewtwo King in the past.
We need to be clear about this.
Yeah.
It's going to be a nightmare to cast.
Yeah. I don't know how he didn't know that there's another AMSA. Like, AMSA, the European one, is like one of the greatest players of all time. You'd think you'd know about it, but regardless, if I was a betting man, I'd guess that the Japanese AMSA is going to win, just because I think he's the truth. I think he's really good. I just don't know what level of practice he's in.
Right. And of course, there's not a lot of people that play Yoshi out there, man. European AMSA, I'm sure he doesn't really know what he's doing in that matchup because there's no one out there.
Yeah. Levin had a little small stint with Yoshi over in Europe. There's old school guys like Mind Trick, if any of you guys remember him, who played Yoshi. But for the most part, I expect that he's going to be making it up as he goes.
Yeah, I completely agree. So, moving away from Pounds, when I see you, Blur, in my observations, it would seem to me that you're not ashamed of your complete passionate love for this community. Okay, you think it's one of the best communities in the world, and I think that you do a lot of great things for it. I guess to start off with, not to be the stereotypical question, but where did it all start? When did you start getting into Smash, but when did you actually feel this passion and love for this community and you wanted to see it grow as much as possible?
So I guess, so I did start back way back in 04, but I never really thought about growing the scene or what I could do with it. I think that part of it actually became super gradual when I saw success. So as I started building stuff and people were really receptive to my ideas and what I was doing and were giving me props, I was like, oh, maybe I'm onto something here. And then that kind of built on each other, and I was like, okay, let's make this small little thing bigger and bigger. And now we're all over here. We're in a Ritz-Carlton for whatever reason. So I think that really helped with it. That I saw actual results in all the work I was doing. That really inspired me.
Now, see, another thing that you do is that you will go above and beyond for the community. As I recall, when Samox was in California, in order to do some footage for the documentary, you actually set up a tournament just so you could get all the players together in one place for him to interview them. That is something that not a lot of people do, and it's just because of your love for the community. So I guess in your own words, and I've heard many different people say many different things about why love this community so much. Why do you love this community so much, Blur?
I think at this point, it's almost like my family. I spend every weekend with these guys. And I spend most of my weekdays and now my work hours on it. There's very few people who don't know me by the name Blur. Arian, which is my actual name, has kind of faded away to only my family knowing it. So my second self has become my first self in many ways. So for me, it's what I got. It's my identity, and it's my place in the world. So that came over time, and I think love grows with time. So I guess that's the position I'm in now. Now all I want to do is make everyone around me have a better life because of it. Because most of these kids are in the same spot. Their first self is their Smash self, especially at the pro level. So making sure that they find a way in the world, a non-traditional way, is one of my big goals. I want to make sure that guys like Pew Pew, SFAT, Hugs, whoever, they can make a real living off this, as Armada and Mango have already slowly started to do.
All right, so that was a really good answer, and that leads me to want to ask you a lot of different questions. So to begin with, as you said, your real name's Aryan, right? And not a lot of people know you by that, and that's one thing that happens in Smash that's been talked about so much is that you have two identities, right? So for you, what is the difference between Aryan and the Blur? What is the Blur very much as Aryan, except maybe a little bit hyped up, for the crowd or something like that?
No, they're the same person. They're absolutely the same person. I don't. Nothing I do is fake. Everything I do is genuine. But I think the Blur is just like, it really is me to the end, because sort of trolly. I have fun with everybody. But at the same time, when it comes down to business and we want to get something done for the betterment of all, I really do care, and I want to see everyone grow together. So there's really no difference. I guess it more relates to the social circles that each relate to.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Now, going on to the other thing that you said, you're really trying to make sure that our top players can use this as a viable, I guess, career path, in your words. I guess a big part of accomplishing that is your job at Twitch. So how did you become a part of Twitch? How did that happen? And for those who don't know, I guess maybe kind of explain what exactly your role is there.
Okay, so I'm an esports program manager at Twitch. That means I work in the esports department. We basically handle like tournament logistics, things like that, try to consult a bunch of orgs. And so I help run a lot of the tournaments you guys see. Most of the time you don't see what I'm doing. That's on purpose. That I work alongside D1, who is in the partnerships group, who helps facilitate new partners, streamers, things like that. How I got the job was originally the job was posted, and I simply applied, went in for an interview, and actually a big part of why I got it was because of Bobby Scar's recommendation. I wasn't originally scheduled even to make it to the interview part, but he helped me really get the job. And also the Apex fiasco of last year. The guy who was actually the hiring manager, JT, went to Apex and saw a lot of the stuff me and D1 did to help save that event, and he was impressed. So that actually helped us get the job too.
I see. And I'm going to take a wild guess here and say that you love your job right now.
Yeah, no, I love my life. Absolutely. The only thing is that I feel like at the same time there's a lot of responsibility on my shoulders, because I feel like I'm one of in the Smash community, unlike other esports communities, there's not a lot of people who are able to work at a professional capacity to make a real difference. Like with League of Legends, for example, there's hundreds of people at Riot who are trying to help, the pro scene and help everyone rise up. With Smash, there's a very small handful that can really dedicate that time. So, in that sense, I love my job, but at the same time, I feel a real big sense of responsibility to really stay true to these guys and really do right by them, and give Smash the best opportunities possible.
Now, as soon as you said responsibility, I'm just trying to think of Spider-Man. Now, as you said, you do have that job also, but you're also a commentator. Yeah. How does commentary kind of fit into this, your goal of trying to make this bigger and make it a more viable career path, as we said? Is it like, okay, being Twitch is my first priority, being at Twitch, doing that job well is first, and then commentary second, or do you feel like commentary is kind of synonymous with that?
So basically, when I say that I want to make everyone grow, I don't just mean the pro players. I also mean the commentators, the streamers, the TOs especially, just to make it all a very good structure and a viable industry for us all, so that which can last for years and years to come. And I think it's disingenuous for me to give advice to, let's say, a commentator on their own job, and similarly to a TO on their own job, without knowing exactly how it's supposed to be done and how to do it at a high level. So I've always tried to be a commentator, be a TO, be active in every little aspect of Smash, be a player, whatever it is, just so I get a lens into what people are going through and what are the issues with commentary, for example, and how we can make it better, because I can see it from the different aspects.
So you kind of put on a lot of hats just so you know what everyone is feeling like and their struggles and something like that.
Exactly. And sometimes that changes. Like the struggles of a commentator 3 years ago were very different than the struggles right now. So I think it's important for me to stay active and to stay within each of these roles, even if it's to a lesser capacity, just so that I can understand everyone's struggles and I can make new creative ideas and understand basically the whole ecosystem that I'm trying to apply to.
So here's potentially a tougher question for you. Even though you said that they're kind of synonymous, I have to ask, do you like working at Twitch better, or do you like the commentary better? I
mean, my job description is like they're the same thing, but I think if I had to choose one, I would pick what I'm doing at Twitch, just because I think it affects more people. Commentary is really good, but a lot of other people do a good job at it too. And I think what I do in commentary is ultimately replaceable. There's a lot of really, really good commentators out there. I think what I'm doing at Twitch, obviously there's smart people who can replace me too, but I want to see my ideas and implementations put forward because I think they're the right ones. So.
Yeah. Okay, I hear you on that one. Now, before let's go back even further, I guess. Before you worked for Twitch, what was the Blur doing? Okay, what was your job like? I'm sure no one expected, and not just you included, no one expected Smash to get this big.
Yeah.
So what were you doing? What was your life like before, I guess, Smash exploded, if you want to use that phrase?
So there was a point where I didn't think Smash would get this big, but I think that even like 4 years ago, I saw this coming, and I think I see where it's going to be in 4 years as well. And the reason for that is, like, once I started really like digging deep and like started TOing at an active level, and I saw like just how much traction you can get with just a basic amount of social media promotion around the Smash Brothers brand, a lot of people were into it. So I think, yes, I didn't see everything, but I think that we're still on a very predictable path of growth. Now, what I was doing before, I was a software developer. I worked at a company called OXY. I was just doing like graphic software engineering. And while I was doing that job on the side, I started doing all my Smash stuff and started Team OXY, started hosting tournaments, all that sort of stuff. And I just built upon it. And eventually that became my new career.
So you worked at I guess a stable job before,
yeah,
quote unquote. Now, was it really difficult, I guess, decision to make to go into Twitch and essentially become esports full time? Obviously, Twitch is the most stable of stable in esports, I guess you could say, but it's not an easy leap of faith to make, I guess, for a lot of people. What was your thought process going through at that time?
So it was easier because before the Twitch offer ever came up, I had decided to quit my software and go Smash full time. It was a very hasty decision that I don't recommend anyone do, but it's sort of like what Hugs is doing now, where he quit his job. I basically saw that I was doing, a poor job at both, almost, in a way. I wasn't fully dedicating myself to software development. I was fully dedicating myself to. I decided to just, use my savings, burn into them, and go full time with Smash for a few months. And then luckily the Twitch offer came up, and then I switched to that. But I never really had to make a direct choice because I made the choice before the Twitch offer even happened. So I knew I wanted to do Smash. I just dropped what we were building.
I don't know, man. Hearing the story now, and it's really not something that's out there in the public. It's really a fascinating thing to hear about the choices that you made, decisions that were like just pondered. Going back, I guess a little bit more. As you said, there was a time when you thought that, like, man, Smash isn't getting big. Was there a time where you thought to yourself that maybe I should just leave this scene and maybe I should just focus on the software development thing, or maybe go to other walks of life that you might be interested in?
Not since I started growing it. I mean, I had a lot of moments of doubt where it's like, man, is this worth it? Like, why are we doing all this? Like, I know we had some very low points. I can remember after EVO 2014, we provided all the setups for EVO, and the way we did is I literally drove a U-Haul with CRTs, and like personally me and just like two other helpers like put all the equipment onto a truck and did it all, and brought it to EVO. And on the way back, the U-Haul actually broke down, and we were like stranded in the middle of a desert, and like those were low moments. There were low moments in all this, so for sure. But I don't think it ever really made me waver that much. I think I right now, just because my decisions affect more people, I have the most doubt just because I'm like, wow, okay, am I actually going the right direction? Whereas before, when the decisions were simpler, I was kind of, right on the path, and I never really doubted myself. But now I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I should think this out more, and am I really doing what's best for everybody?
Of course, it's never easy. A lot of stuff, obstacles happen in life. And, I mean, here you are now. You're very much the hype commentator. I would have to say very, very much along the sides of from other esports like maybe Doa or Tasteless. Is that something that you always were? Are you always the hype man, or did you feel like you kind of grew into that role?
I guess I always was. I like to watch when I first started, and I did that. I think I was I had like analytical streaks where I like went really analytical too, but I always got hyped just because that's how if you watch me at a venue and you see me like I'm in a crowd, I'm going nuts then too. So I love the game and I get really into it. So I have to feel the flow of the match, and that kind of gets me into it. Yeah.
I mean, listen, I don't blame you. Melee's exciting, man. Mailing is beautiful. Now, you did say that you haven't been entering lately. Is there a specific reason for that? Just focusing on everything else, or?
Yeah, basically focusing on everything else. I think that I might start entering again once I'm hopefully starting a home stream soon. For a similar reason, I think that I want to see how to make a good home stream, kind of like what I was doing with TOing and commentating, just so I can give other people advice. And then once I start doing that, I'll actually have time to play. But at the moment, I'm in a weird spot where whenever I play, I kind of feel like I should be working instead. So I never get a chance to practice. So, right. But if I'm streaming, I'll feel like it's productive. So, and then I'll play again.
I see. I lost my track. Oh, wait, no. What was I going to ask you about? Oh yeah, so I'm not. So the thing is, I don't remember completely what was written on Facebook. I remember someone saying, making a comment about the CS:GO major, I think, or something like that, and they're just saying, "Man, I wish Melee was this big." And I remember you saying, like, "Listen, that's great and all, but what we have right now is really, really good." And I guess my question to you is, how big do you want to see Melee get? Like, in your ideal world, what is Melee, and what's it like, but how is it maybe different from the maybe really big esports that you see now that you might not agree with in terms of their practices or customs?
So, in many other esports, basically the function is a developer pays a vendor, like let's say an ESL, a lump sum of money, and they add a large prize pool, and they do some studio event, and they run like a pro league, something like that, and that is their esport, right? And that's great, but it doesn't get the interaction that like thousands of grassroots events like we have, and you don't get as many people out to venues quite like that. There's a reason why it's in studios, mostly because people won't show up to some of these games as events, right? Whereas in Smash, people will actually go to a Smash event. I think that's understated sometimes. Actually being able to get thousands of people every weekend to go to a venue, like nowadays we have a major, it feels like every weekend, every other weekend. That's a humongous accomplishment. And also, of course, our viewership numbers just keep getting better. It's a slow growth, but focusing on prize money, I think, is faulty. Just because that money towards prizing, you see that, and then there's, of course, this big production expense that they're doing to make sure the studio show happens. But if you actually summed up all of our prize money that we're doing through entry fees, and also all of the production expense that we're foregoing just because we use so many volunteers, it would actually end up being a greater pool of money. It's just money that doesn't actually end up switching hands, but a greater pool of money than what they're working with, right? If every volunteer was paid for, every pool captain, every TO actually cared about making money, versus right now where most of them are going negative to even. If every commentator cared about getting paid, all these sort of things would add up and rack up the cost of the Smash community, and all of a sudden we'd be looking at the same production budgets, or even way, way higher production budgets than these other esports events have. And because we have our passion, we're able to do it, and I think that passion can't be understated. In order to get that passion for another game, developers have to spend a lot of money to get people to actually want to show up and commentate their game, and get people to actually show up to their venues, and get players to actually want to go to their events. Whereas players now, like Westballs goes to $5 entry tournaments with 40 people in them, right? Mm-hmm. That's crazy. Right. A top level player going to a tournament with like that small of a prize pool, when you think about it, that's really important. It's important to conserve, and it's important to conserve, the idea that we're all in this together, we're all trying to build something together on a regional basis, on a national basis, on a global basis, and keep that intact so that we can continue to grow organically. The worst thing we can do is to balloon up our own costs and basically build exactly what they're building, right? Instead, I think we should grow within our own model and our own organic system.
So I completely agree with almost everything you said. I think one thing that we all have to remember is that this game came out in 2001. Okay, this game came out in 2001, and we're still being played. It still has massive tournaments. The only game I can think of that even comes close to this is Brood War that still gets played in Korea in certain leagues. There's no other game like it. Maybe you want to talk about Street Fighter 2 in the arcades in Japan. Maybe. But what we have, I agree, is completely unique. What we have, we can grow this our way. We don't have to, like, I guess, sell out or whatever term you want to use, you know? So I admire you for having that mentality, and I think that it's something that everyone should have, at least in the community. Man, that was really good. Okay, so here's one thing that I've been talking to a lot of people today, and it seems like everyone has been really, really talkative, and they've all been giving like really, really good answers, and it's actually making it tough for me because like I have to process what you're saying. I'm like, man, I was like, that was really deep, but you know. Okay, how about this? So, obviously, you're a commentator and you work for Twitch. What are your 2016 goals?
My 2016 goals, like I said, I do want to start home streaming. As far as for the wider Smash community, a lot of those goals are stuff that are to be announced. But for the most part, like, stay tuned. For the most part, I think it's to build a structure and a cohesion where we're all working together. I think there's a lot of problems in Smash. I think number one and number two is, one, our international outreach is very, very poor. You see now we're starting to do a Spanish stream for our top 8, for Melee top 8. I think that's a big step forward. We need to move that forward to many other languages, for many more events, do that all over the place. That will see growth all across the board, in my opinion, as long as we do that. Experiment with technologies along that front. So global growth, big goal. And then the second most important thing that I think we need to fix is just how disparate everyone is and how everyone is sort of like, you know, in their own orgs. And it's fine, like there's a Team Ox, there's a Showdown, there's a Big Blue Esports, there's like all these smaller orgs that are working as silos. But I think when we bring everyone together is when we actually do our best work. And no one really has any self-interest when they work separately. It's just a matter of convenience that we've been doing it. I think when we work together and we actually all bring it all together as one greater org and as one greater unit, we can get much more done and in many like tangible ways, right? You can get sponsorship sales that you wouldn't otherwise get if it's all lumped together. You can get viewership to be consolidated, you know, if you all work together. So things like that I really want to see done, because currently I think that we're still too spread apart, too hard to follow as a fan, and like I said, the global stuff is also very, very important.
Man, I cannot wait for you to start this whole stream thing so I can hear you talk about like Smash and all of this in general, like all the time, because this has been an absolute pleasure. I honestly can't think of anything else to say, man. Do you have any shout-outs you want to give, words you want to say to your fans? How can your fans possibly follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter, but you're probably already doing that, at OXY_Crimson. And you can also check me out. I guess just check me out on Twitter, actually. Just, you know what, that's whatever. You guys know who I am. I'm the CrimsonBlur. Shout outs to you for doing a good interview. I like this. Shout outs to Nintendude, who's going to be starting at Twitch soon. That's going to be fun.
Okay, I think that was that secret thing that he was talking about, but okay.
No. That we already announced that.
Oh,
so
okay.
He's hired. It's going to be dope. He's going to be working in the esports department, my department. I'm happy. And shout outs to all the organizers, everybody who helped make this possible, everyone who's working really hard on this for the community.
Yeah. Good pick too. And that dude is smart, man. Went to Cornell. Solid pick, my friend.
What school you went to? How do you know this stuff? This guy's a dope interviewer. What is going on, guys?
All right, guys, stay tuned to esportsheaven.com for more coverage of Pound 2016. We'll see you.